Good afternoon, everyone. It is Friday afternoon, the 4th of October, 2019. We're going to look through some cryptocurrencies and check out our indicators to see what they're telling us here. I want to start off this episode by just pointing out that we'll go through the relative strength index, the on-balance volume, the MACD indicator, and the Ichimoku cloud for the big 7 cryptocurrencies that trade on BitMEX. And then at the end of the stream, I'll go over any requests that you have. And let's just ease this music up. Join the dog pack, grab a frisbee, come and play with us. Hit the subscribe button. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button if you find this interesting. Tweet it out, share it on social media. If you think this will help other traders, there's no limit to all the good that can happen. Like, you can make all the money you want and everybody else can too. There's so many great things going on right now in the cryptocurrencies. It is insane. You may be asking, what chart is this? This is Bitcoin dominance chart. And this is the theme for the whole show today and for the next while, because whatever Bitcoin dominance chart does is going to really set the tone for what the cryptocurrencies are ending up doing. And I wanted to start off with this longer term view so that we can just take a look. There's the scribble tool at where we are historically. Pretty amazing stuff. I also want to point out this head and shoulders formation last time. Well, I don't know if this is next time, but in the past we can see that these head and shoulders formations set up many times before Bitcoin dominance dropped. And it usually drops quickly when it does, which means that now is the time to be getting ready. Now is the time to recognize this head and shoulders top formation, and we have a strategy in place for actually implementing on these altcoins as they're taking off. So they say that in order to learn better, it's better that you participate. It's better that you ask questions. It's better that you take notes. And if you don't, then you're just a philosopher. You're just talking about the philosophy of it. But as soon as you take a piece of paper, as soon as you start asking questions, it turns on different parts of your brain that help you with learning so that these patterns become ingrained into your mind. I appreciate that you guys are coming back and watching channel after channel or show after show, because that very much helps me and it helps you get this ingrained into your brain. But actually participating, like Trader Retuto, he comes over to our Discord chat and participates, shares charts, asks questions. Though that's the way you're going to make the most out of this. And I do recommend that everybody who's watching that you head over to the website, to the intro-to-cryptos.ca, and put your email address in. Get the free webinar for our complete trading system. We talk about the same trading system throughout all of these live streams, and it'll give you a great perspective. You'll be much more prepared to make something out of this and turn it from, instead of philosophy and that you agree with it, into a habit that you're actually doing with your trading. And then later, months from now, I get your success stories as you tell me how this trading pattern helped you. And you know, I promote this trading pattern with great confidence because I didn't make it up myself. It's not mine at all. This isn't my idea. You can find, what is it? The Bible of Stock Technical Analysis. Where's my book? This book. You can hear the weight of this book. It's, I don't know, 3 inches thick. The Technical Analysis of Stock Trends by Edwards and McGee. And you will find these patterns inside that book, written in 1948, I think it was. And so I'm very excited to share these patterns with you and study how these indicators work against these patterns. In the last few days, we've been going over ADA and watching the bottom formation. Let me get rid of the indicator so we see the chart better. We're watching these 1, 2, 3 bottom formations and talking about them turning and coming up. Here's a better view of it. And then we're comparing Bitcoin Cash to say that it has come below these levels here. And so it has to start a whole new bottom formation for us. It's, you know, just blew a hole there. EOS, we're watching this double bottom and talking about the support and resistance levels here. And we were going over the relative strength index and the on-balance volume. And we were doing all of that so that we could track what's actually happening as this unfolds day by day, going through all of these indicators so that we could say, if the indicator does this, we expect the price to do that. If the, and back and forth. And now, since yesterday's episode, when we zoom back into these, it's astonishing to see how these indicators have conformed exactly to what we were looking for on all of these breakouts here. Especially when we get into the Ichimoku cloud. So Ripple is one of the least doing well there, actually. I see I have to resize my chat over there. Let me see if I can do that in real time, but Streamlabs. And I see T-Torch in the real question, even if all the alts show tons of strength and all indicators up and BC dominance down, couldn't Bitcoin just crush everything down regardless? If it does, we will see it on the exponential moving average crossovers. We'll know when to get out, but there is a time to take a measured risk with a small bit of trade and then add on to it if we're correct. And it is out of the 1, 2, 3 bottom formations as we're setting up. So forgive me that I'm seeming distracted because I am. I'm trying to change the font size on this and see how that turns out on our live stream. Now, let's continue on. Because there is a specific plan for this live stream that we want to do every day. And the reason is so that we convincing our brain to do these trading plans and to follow them. I've done this enough years that I've already convinced my brain and it is doing it. So now what I'm watching for here is the relative strength index. And we're watching for the relative strength index to continue to show us this divergence of going higher from these levels here on the daily view. And bang, it did as we're breaking out of these levels. Now, as we zoom into the 12-hour time frame, this shows us more clearly that triangle we were looking at yesterday. Poof, right up out of it as we're breaking out of these levels. Confirmation point number 1. First of all, we have the technical trading pattern. Then confirmation point number 1, we have the RSI doing what we asked it or wanted it or predicted it would do if prices were going higher. This was going to break up, and there it is. As it's breaking higher, we have our confirmation signal here. So that's what we're shopping for. That's what we're studying for here. Now, on the 12-hour time frame, I'm not seeing the buying volume come in here yet. So let me clear that off and zoom in. The 4-hour time frame, now we're seeing a difference. This is a nice setup of volume. So for me, this is confirming that the move is starting to change direction and make its way up. Let's zoom in to see the more of the nature of this. You can see the buying started before on this shoulder. The buying started. You could see it setting up here. And then there was a big swath of buying and things cooled off a little bit after that. So to see the style of the buying going on here is really important as well. Because now I'm watching to see, is this going to fade off? Are we going to see a divergence to the negative side from this larger perspective? Let's clear that off and go into the MACD indicator. And I'm already looking at the 1 hour, so it's kind of a spoiler. I wanted to zoom in on this, but yesterday at 3 o'clock, I don't know when 24 hours was, but we're on the 1 hour bar. So yesterday sometime we were looking at here. We were looking at this MACD indicator saying that it must flare positive for this to take off. There's the flare positive on the 1 hour time frame. As I zoom back to the 4 hour, there's our flare positive on the 4 hour time frame. So these are supporting indicators saying that this move isn't a fake out breakout. We are even seeing the 12 hour starting to peel up a little bit into a flare. So all of those things really make me feel much more bullish about this. Should the daily start to cross forward, it's just confirming, and that will be up above these levels, and we're already rocking. Now let's take a look at the Ichimoku cloud and I'm going to go to the 12-hour time frame and zoom back. Now let's it is wanting to break out higher here. The blue line is almost crossing above the red. If we zoom in to the 4-hour time frame, as we were looking at it yesterday, we were talking about we needed this to cross to the positive as this was breaking out. There it is. Just beautiful. As we go into the 1-hour time frame and drag this back a little bit. Now we can see yesterday this was already giving us a little bit of the breakout. It was already giving us the initial hint. And then we flared up skinny, as we were talking about, and this trailing indicator cut up hard. So that's still giving me the idea that this has got much more scale to do. But now that we have this breakout and the hold here, it gives us a chance to put, a limit order right behind the price, let it come down and touch us in. And if it starts to fade back into these areas, we know that we are not correct. We have to get out. We have to get out. It's only if it stays above this support and resistance level and goes higher now can you keep this trade. So it's really narrowed it down to it. Such a beautiful entry place at the end of this big downtrend. I just love it. BCH, of course, it got kicked out of our trade review because it failed down to these levels and it needs to build more structure. And it could be taking off. We do have a Bitcoin dominance, our RSI divergence on it, but I don't like what's going on here on the 1-day, 12-hour time frame. It's crossed to the positive a little bit. That's good. 4 hours crossed to the positive and holding positive. So if you're an aficionado, this may be setting up to something. 1 hour time frame, not giving me the juice, not like we saw in ADA. So there's better fish to fry. Let's go on to EOS and go back to the relative strength index. Clean this off from last. Let's go to EOS though. So EOS almost got canned too because it made this double bottom, but it's really picked up off of this and beautiful support and resistance levels here. I love the RSI pulling up. Yesterday we identified that if the RSI pulled up above these levels as we are pulling out, that would be bullish. And there we go. I love it. Let's go to EOS on the 12-hour time frame. Not seeing the volume coming in yet. But when we go into the 4-hour time frame, that's a different story. I like this volume setup here, that it's pretty steady buying. That's pretty nice. That's pretty nice. So it only had this one panic dump and everything else has been pretty much buying. So wow, I like this even more. Now let's go into the EOS for the longer term time frame. Crossing positive, and it looks very much like Bitcoin Cash did. This looks like Bitcoin Cash, except a bit more positive here at the tip. More positive at the tip on the 1 hour time frame. Much better, warmer than Bitcoin Cash actually. Just from this last zoom in at the point. And if we go on to the Ichimoku cloud now and go at the 12-hour time frame for EOS, it's still inside this 1, 2, 3 bottom on the 12-hour time frame. It wants it to build up more. It's still holding back a little bit. If we go into the 4-hour time frame, it's already crossed positive, but not super positive yet. This has come positive. That's twisted positive. This is just barely getting up above that. Almost feels like it wants to come back and retest before going. So it's not giving the same bullish view as we saw in ADA. ADA still leads the pack, and I don't know if by the end will it still be my favorite coin for the day. Let's go into Ethereum. Whoops, I'm out of order. Let's go into Ethereum with a relative strength index and zoom back. Still showing very strong bullish and pulling back at the same time with this divergence off the top that has been catching us for the last few days. But this isn't always a negative divergence as in a sell signal. This is the market building up pressure for the next move sharply up. It's like a springboard setup where it springs upwards after these kind of consolidation. You springboard, bam, springboard, bam. That's the way it's starting to feel to me now. Let's zoom in on this and take a look closer. Again, the RSI Pardon me, that was something we're watching to see if it's going to be breaking higher or lower. Was it going to top out and come down? The RSI was going to tell us. And since everything is going up and Bitcoin dominance seems like it's topping out, I'm betting that this is going to take a big run up. This is an ascending wedge triangle and not a top formation. Let's go in further. What are we looking at here? 12 hour. Let's go into the 4 hour first. Not bad. I'm certain that this will really, if we are breaking higher, that's going to surge. We'll be able to watch that set up. If we go into Ethereum now for the 12-hour time frame, and I don't like this, it's still a selling divergence, like it's a bearish divergence in volume. I like to see a little bit of volume coming in here. Let's zoom in on that from the 4 hour. Still, that's not so good. Oh, we had a lot better buying volume in EOS than here in Ethereum. We'll watch to see if this is enough. These little pockets of buying is enough to blast it. It seems to be. Let's watch. And then the MACD indicator on the 12-hour time frame is not as positive as ADA was. This isn't as positive, though it is pretty darn positive for where we are in this trading formation. It's very positive for where we are in this trading formation. That it's not way up here trying to go higher, that would be less credible. If it was way up here again, but that it's down to these levels gives it that much more room to go up afterwards. So that's pretty good. The 1 hour time frame is showing us a lot of variability here as we are going along. Very good. And that it's crossed to the positive. At the same time, the 4 hour is crossing positive. And we're near this breakout. It's all just saying, go long, my son, go long. Don't go west. And Ethereum on the the 12-hour time frame. It's already above the cloud and doing well. Like it's looking great. It's fantastic. Looking very bullish. If we go into the 4 hour time frame, this was a little bit less sure yesterday. And we weren't sure if it was going to come down or not because this hadn't crossed over. And as we were looking through this and it started to ease off, it almost looked like it was going to go. And now it's crossed back to the positive. So we have this positive crossover. What we need to see now is that this starts to skewer up and this starts to go up, this following indicator. As the price starts to break above these levels, that's what we'll see here in this cloud. And then we'll watch on the 1 hour time frame. It's also breaking out. This is what I'm looking for in that cloud, is that twist, that skinniness, the blue crossing above the red, and the trailing indicator ear up being wide away from the price. So to have these on either side nice and wide lets you know that things are pressuring upward. Wicked. So still ADA, I have to say, is my favorite so far. And if you're okay. Man, it's been a long year and a half, but definitely worth the wait. No, the wait wasn't, we had no choice on the wait. But it certainly is a learning curve for risk control and studying when to get out of the trade. To really know when that exponential moving average crosses over. There's no arguing it. So none of us can argue these bottom formations taking off. They are making themselves very clear. Then we're just going to look for the trend line. And we're all going to be watching for these exponential moving averages crossovers to kick us out. And it's always my wanting that you guys are in a Discord chat and you're saying, hey, there's an exponential moving average crossover happening in ALTCOIN. Go and check it out, everybody, so that everybody in our community benefits from everybody watching for these patterns to shape up. That is the ultimate. So here we are with a nice diverging setup in Litecoin and the RSI. As we were talking about yesterday's stream, we were saying that if it breaks higher from here as we're coming out of this little consolidation, that's very bullish. We're looking for that to happen at the same time. If we go into the 4 hour time frame, here it is again, exactly what we were watching for, and it played out as prices are taking off. So it's another confirmation. I want to go into the volume now for Litecoin. What are we at? The 1 hour volume. So it's not as good all the way along here, although Since yesterday, we really picked up on a good swath of volume that wasn't there yesterday. We were looking at this and there wasn't this swarm of volume. So that's pretty good. Nice to see that stepping up. We'll have to see that continue to support this breaking out higher. And I'm certain that as we're going along, it will. Let's go to Litecoin. I want to start with the 12-hour time frame and confirm if it had crossed over this indecisive flat line and started to flare to the positive. Bing, bing, bing. Let's go into the 4-hour time frame. Also got out of this indecisive crap and started to push a little bit of direction. Really awesome. However, we're going to get more oscillation in the shorter time frames as this works its way up. It's not just going to be a straight blast, it seems right now. Let's go into Litecoin on the 12-hour time frame, not through the cloud yet. So that kind of explains, like the blue line hasn't crossed above the red line here yet. We don't have a twist to the positive in the cloud. We're still below the cloud. It agrees. On the 4-hour time frame, we're just getting above the cloud. It's kind of bullish, but that's not standing up. This isn't standing up as much as it should, or we need it to. And the blue line is barely above the red, so we're really not getting that much juice here on the 4-hour time frame. And this is a really important one. I imagine it's going to get better for us over this bit of time here as this stuff sets up. So Litecoin, not in my favorite list. ADA, you're still winning so far. Let's go in. This is a huge divergence that has been setting up, and we've been watching all of these live streams, watching. On the 12-hour time frame, we actually did get a bit of a buy signal here. 1, 2, 3 bottom formation. The exponential moving averages crossed over. We broke the downtrend line. It crossed higher, and then we had to go out. And it's a good thing to get out on that because it's a long ways, a long, painful way to come all the way from 420 down to 180. That's painful. It's more than 50% loss. Now we can make some phenomenal gains off of this. I think, anyway, that's my prediction. Zoom into the 4-hour time frame. The RSI is still looking great and can go higher in its overbought as this is breaking out. Oh, this is setting up nice. But even if it comes back to these levels and retests again, I think we're still setting up for a big breakout. 4-hour time frame. 1-hour time frame, just to take a look at it. The RSI gets less clear to me when we're going into the very short-term time frames. This has better buying pattern than ADA and EOS put together. Whoa. So this just took the first prize from ADA right there. That's the 12-hour time frame. Oh yeah, kicks butt. 4-hour time frame. Let's take a look at the anatomy. A little bit of selling going on here, and the buying is winning. There's only a little swath of selling. Well, not little, but there's a swath of selling there. 4-hour time frame, 1-hour time frame. So steady trickle, and then it's picking up. It's gathering more volume as it's breaking out. These are really good positive buying signals that we are uncovering right here. And so hit the thumbs up button. Hit the subscribe button. Put this on your watch later list so you can come back and leave a message about the profits that came out of this. Look at this crossover to the positive. This is phenomenal. That's a flare to the positive as we are breaking these levels, getting more strength from our on-balance volume. It's like a buy signal in motion as we are going through. So many of these live streams are talking about what if, but there's once in a while we have a live stream that the trading signals are standing out right as we're doing the live stream. So I love it. And it's also the most dangerous time of a 1, 2, 3 bottom formation breakout. We've seen enough of them fail before to really be aware of our risk control rules, especially when we're coming to support and resistance levels. It could look so amazing and then drop back down. So start off small. I'm going to go into TRX on the Ichimoku cloud, And wow, that just looks phenomenal on the 12-hour time frame. That's the best looking chart we have. The 4-hour time frame is looking strong. Looking at flaring wide out here. Not yet gone skinny over here yet though. So as this is breaking higher past these levels, I anticipate this will go skinny. And let's tune in tomorrow. Tomorrow, Saturday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We'll run through this again and see what actually ended up happening after we nail it down so specifically about exactly what our indicators have to tell us in order to give a signal. Then to see them telling us that as the signal's unfolding in our live stream, it's awesome. Let me just mute you for a second. Can't do that. Let me continue on. Bitcoin dominance? No. TRX, we're almost through, and then I can take some requests if you want. Ripple, 3 touches of death, but ascending wedge triangle on this time frame. If I go out to this, it's looking good so long as we stay above these levels as we are breaking out of here. Oh, it's just incredible. I hate to be dramatic, but look at this volume on the 1-hour time frame. Oh, I thought it was longer. 4-hour time frame, still pretty good, but less, not as much. We need to have more volume on that. On the breakout, when it starts to go, if the volume starts breaking past these levels, you can start to FOMO. 1-day time frame is looking good for Ripple. This is Ripple. Looking better than I expected it to actually for Ripple. But when we get into the 12-hour time frame, it's not looking as good as some of the others. It's not crossed to the positive. It has to cross to the positive as we're breaking out of here, or we're not breaking out. Now the 4-hour has crossed to the positive, so that's good. And what time is it? 3:30. Okay. Whoops. Let's go into the next time frame, 1-hour time frame. Not looking as good, and this is the kind of thing that I want to identify as we're coming up to a potential 1, 2, 3 bottom formation breakout. Is exactly this. Oh, it looks so good, it looks so awesome, and it does look awesome, but if this is happening right on the breakout, I want to put my brakes on. So the 4 hours crossed to the positive, but the 1 hour just eased back. And I want to pay attention to that kind of thing as we're breaking out. And we see that in TRX? I have to go back. No, this is a flaring positive. As we go into the 1-hour time frame, this is not crossing back to the negative like we just saw on Ripple. So Ripple crossing to the negative is not good. Oh, Litecoin crossing to the negative. Hey, I got to go and look for patterns now. Ethereum is looking good. It's not crossing to the negative. Neither is EOS. Bitcoin Cash is indistinctive. And this isn't crossing to the negative, but it is losing a little bit of histogram power. So just want to pay attention to these crosses right as they're happening. I think everything is all taking off. It looks really good, really bullish. And yet I just want to pay attention to that cross of the 1-hour MACD. Let's now just confirm here with Ripple. I want to take a look at the closer time frames to see what the Ichimoku cloud is telling us. Still all bullish on the 12-hour. There is a cross in the there's a cross right there in the 4-hour, and a twist to the negative while we had the advanced notice of the 1-hour crossover on the MACD. What is the relative strength index doing? So let's watch how this unfolds now to see what the RSI does compared to the MACD and the Ichimoku cloud, because the MACD is giving us a negative tip here on Ripple, and the Ichimoku cloud is giving us a little negative just on the first edges of it. Let's tune in tomorrow to see how this actually plays out. Awesome. So we have Bitcoin here, we have Bitcoin longs and Bitcoin shorts. I am still expecting that Bitcoin prices are going to be coming back considerably. We may do a little jump up, but I'm expecting them to come down more just to get the Bitcoin longs down to a more reasonable level. Reasonable compared to what? But reasonable compared to the fact that we've had a big pullback in the prices, but hardly a pullback in the number of longs. And I imagine that we should be lower longs. And I don't know. We'll see how this plays out now over time. Let me go back to the chat and take a quick look at what's going on. BTC. Thanks for posting Smoking Altcoins. Be sure to come and check our Discord. I'm going to take the risk of refreshing the chat box. It may crap out. It crapped out. Or maybe it just reset and now we need new chats in it. Zcoin, any other coin? Let's do BTC, Zcoin. I think Zcoin's in trouble, isn't it? Okay, no Jack, low Jack. There we go. And thank you, Smoking Altcoins. Get the free webinar on the website, introtocryptos.ca. Don't miss out on that. Grab it. It's a free webinar. Then you understand everything that we're doing here a lot better. And that's my goal. BTC is in between a level that, first of all, we have to start off with the big trading plan. The trading plan says, basically, the roughest version of the trading plan is that we buy on the 1 to 3 bottom formation breakout and the cross of the 12-hour exponential moving average. And then we don't do anything, and we don't get out until after the top formation when the 12-hour exponential moving average has crossed over. And there's variations and stuff that we can do in this. So now that we've had this crossover to the negative, there's no trade. There's no buy signal here. And so that would be it. I would be done trading this market. If I'm really aggressive, I may go into the 4-hour time frame and look for a signal there. And there's no crossover to the positive here. We don't have a 1, 2, 3 bottom formation breakout to the positive, so there's no trading signal. There's not even an alert that there could be a trading signal immediately. Of course, there could just blast off. But that would tell us a little bit more in advance. We would see the RSI starting to come up higher. We would see this breaking above these levels, maybe coming back to retest it. Then we're starting to get a little bit of a place where we could take a signal from on that side. So on the other side, we have a downtrend, We have potential for support and resistance off a similar move from the past, that we had some exhaustion wicks that are kind of similar to what we're seeing here. We did see the RSI make a similar pattern that we saw here. And so if that starts to break above these levels and we're seeing this pattern shape up, I would go with it. I would be going, okay, you got me. Sure. But at the same side, if the RSI is breaking down to these levels and the price is breaking below here, I would start to stage into a short position. Shorts are harder to trade than longs because they happen much faster. And so you have to be prepared and practiced with them and in advance. You have to know what you're going to do, how big your trade is going to be, where are you going to look to get out. And for my own part, it really matches well with this support and resistance. There was nothing almost in this whole area here. We went through it so fast that it just blasted right past. It seems to me like we could come all the way back down to these levels. And that's what I'm really watching for, is one of the two of these to break out either direction. So if I go over to, not that one, let's go to this one and bring up Bitcoin price and go to the 3-month view, we do have a cross to the positive on the 12-hour time frame, but the 4-hour time frame wrecks the party. For now, if it recrosses to the positive and starts to take off, then we're bullish. If this crosses to the negative and starts to flag, and the 12-hour time frame, The 12-hour time frame starts to flag as well, and the 1-hour time frame starts to open up more negative. All of those things are going to combine together to tell us to go short or get the hell out. And I do recommend that you shamelessly learn how to short the market if you're able to. So I don't recommend that you sell your Bitcoin when the prices are going down. I say you keep your Bitcoin and go short at a 1-to-1 leverage trade so that you are hedging your investment. So the US dollar value will stay flat as the price goes down, but you will accumulate more Bitcoin as the price is going down. So be sure that you don't feel guilt or bad or anything for being a bear. Keep your Bitcoin and go short. So you're gaining more Bitcoin as it's just the waves moving this way and that way. There's no emotion to it. So let me now go on to Zcoin. Zcoin. Like, is that like ZRX or ZIL or ZIN or is it actually Zcoin? Nope. So help me out with that. But anyway, Zcoin. Zoom back out. Look at this. Taking off and kind of scary relative strength index there. I mean, MACD. MACD on the 12-hour pulled back, but it could be going positive here. If I zoom into the 4-hour, it's flaring positive. And I would say that the overall and the 1-day time frame is looking like it's building and building and going up. Like the divergence here is strong and going up from what we're seeing here. And if I take ZRX, if this is the right coin, and zoom down to ZRX, it's like a buy signal off the Ichimoku cloud in the 4-hour time frame. And this is a rare bird that we haven't seen very much of. Crossover to the positive, crossover to the positive, breaking out to the positive while we're coming out of these levels on an ascending wedge triangle. I like it. And so but because it's already broken out of the 1, 2, 3 bottom formation, now we're kind of chasing the trend. So I may, if I want to, I could do a small position in that and add on to it later. But now that the market is turning, I want to go back and look at all of the markets that haven't taken off yet. This one was an opportunity back on the 15th and the 16th and the 17th. And this is the kind of thing that we were marketing, we were tracking and doing trade alert signals off of it. So it would be a buy signal on a break higher. And yet at the same time, it's not a classic 1, 2, 3 bottom formation anymore. Like this is where we had the break of the downtrend line. That's it's a different trade now that you're setting up here. So your stop strategies and your entry strategies have to be a little adjusted for that. So XZC, let me go back. I was looking at USD last night on Zcoin. I am sort of, I've seen a few references now to the altcoins looking terrible in the US dollar charts, but looking not so bad in the Bitcoin charts. Let's see if I can pull up some Bitfinex favorites. Get rid of the Bitcoin. So just to do a couple comparisons, let's go Ethereum, Bitcoin. Okay, looking like it's breaking out, right? 1, 2, 3 bottom formation here, consolidation in a trend, ascending wedge triangle. These are such classic patterns. This is the stuff I teach in the course, which is coming up in 3 days and 2 hours. That's when the course registration closes and the course opens. There's very limited registration. If this stuff is interesting to you and you want to dig in deeper, that course has a lot of information. Now, when we go into Ethereum versus US dollar, we can see a very different looking chart pattern. We have lower lows going on here. We have a consolidation that's not looking like as healthy as a 1, 2, 3 bottom formation. It's looking pretty pissy actually. So if we go to Litecoin versus Bitcoin, It's got the 1, 2, 3 bottom. It's starting to shape up and give us this nice formation. If we go into Litecoin versus US dollar, we can see it just got hammered back versus US dollar, but it's setting up to be gaining against Bitcoin. So it is important to notice that when we take a look at all of these alts versus US dollar, they are following a very similar pattern to Bitcoin in that everything dropped in US dollar value here. And so if you're trading against US dollar, those are things that are different than my approach. Bitfinex. Favorites. Oh, there we go. Litecoin US dollar. And even though I don't trade versus US dollar, the same trading plan works out here. We're still looking for the very same signals to get in or get out and to control our position. So if this was a 1, 2, 3 bottom formation that you were gung-ho on and you were to purchase in here, then your risk control rules should kick you out before this happens to you. Ideally, of course. But those are the ideals that we have to practice in advance so that every time you trade a 1, 2, 3 bottom formation and you get excited and buy into it, you have to have your risk control rules to protect you from what happens so often in a 1, 2, 3 bottom formation setting up. So often here, and finally we get the actual one that turned into something. But this is where the strategy has to be tried a little bit and turned off. Turned on a little bit and turned off. Turned on a little bit. Oh, it's working. Added on more. Right on. Then you're waiting for this top formation to turn it off. So the starting off little and adding on more when you're correct will save your butt so many times in these 1, 2, 3 bottoms. And it doesn't matter if you're trading versus US dollar or versus Bitcoin. I focusing on versus Bitcoin because it gets to be a 3D puzzle that is really quite difficult to keep your head around when you're trying to go back and forth between all of them to see TRX versus Bitcoin and then TRX versus US dollar. It really took quite a poke back here versus US dollar, but so did Bitcoin go down versus US dollar. So TRX versus Bitcoin stayed pretty steady. So this is where the value was going into. For me, I see the value coming into the alts right now. And as we see Bitcoin dominance dropping off, that is our confirmation. If this Bitcoin dominance starts to pick up and go the other way, everything's going to change. All of our alts are going to change their direction. I got to run here soon, so I'll check the chart for link and then we'll call it a day. Let's go to Binance and filter by Bitcoin. Get rid of my favorites. Scroll. Link. I really used to like this stream, but this is the 9th time you're implying the alts to take off. Still follow you daily. Yes. When you're following this daily stream, it's like watching a slow motion of a golf swing. It's really long and slow to see these 1, 2, 3 bottom formations unfold and finish their entire thing. And to review it daily is way overdoing it. You should not spend more than 10 minutes a day looking at your charts. Otherwise, you are working for your money and your money is not working for you. So it's a different thing for me to do an educational video that talks about the same things every day because it doesn't change much from day to day. But for your own trading, if you're spending more than 10 minutes a day looking at these charts, you are not trading in a way that is adding to your life, but I think it's taking away from your life by spending all those hours on the charts. There are so many other things to do in the world, and that's why we want to make money trading. We want to be able to have it making money for us while we're doing other things. The key is to have a simple enough system that stays in the market at the right time and gets out of the market at the right time. The rest of it, you shouldn't spend any time watching it. Otherwise, you're gambling. You're addicted to the rush of it instead of the mathematical, dreary, regular pattern of formation. Buy here, go out for dinner. Go out for dinner. Go out, do yoga. Get away from the charts. Oh, that's okay. Don't worry, and never let things ruffle your feathers. Not trading, not other people's speaking. Never let anything ruffle your feathers. It should go past you like a puff of cloud. Poof, acknowledge it, move on, let it go. All of these things. So you'd never dwell on a trade that you lost. Just like a football catcher never dwells on a football that he missed. He focuses on catching the next one. So let it go. Focus on the next one. Bum-ba-dum. ENJ BTC. I didn't say much about Link here, but I think it's going to be continuing to take off. I thought it was a top formation. And I learned from watching all of these kind of ascending wedge triangles that look like top formations. I learned that they're not top formations. They are ascending wedge triangles, and we're seeing them all over the place. It's crazy. Oh, one thing I didn't do yet. Where do I have it? I gotta have it open somewhere. Let me open up the website. 3:48. I am running out of time here. If I bring up the website and I go to click on the Binance Alerts tab, there is a draw from our spreadsheet that gets pulled into this page. So you can see what we're actually doing with monitoring our cryptos. And you can see the coins that we are holding in our long positions that we have already taken positions in. And you can go and look at these chart patterns. You can go and look at the chart. You'll see the 1, 2, 3 formations that we traded, that we watched way in advance. We saw them coming. We laid out our portfolio for it. And if your trading isn't netting you these profits and you've been watching this stream for a long time, then you're not really believing in what I'm teaching you. You don't believe it. Otherwise, you'd have taken action on some of these things, at least in paper trading. And so I want you to go back to the homepage of the website, sign up for that free training for the 1-hour webinar, and I want you to repeat this stuff with a piece of paper in your hand and a pencil. I want you to repeat this stuff and put it into your brain. And if you find this stuff powerful and you want to have this on your side, you can save 10% by getting a 3-month package. But put in the promotion code MINNOW when you sign out with a crypto and you save an additional 20%. That's $40-$60 off of this 3-month package. Crazy. And I want this to be your success. And I want this to be something so powerful that you really need to use it every day. It actually answers the questions that you need. And so that's enough for today. I will sign off, and I got to do ENJ. 1, 2, 3, ENJ. That's D. E, N. Give it to me. There it is. Wow, already taking off. If I go into the 12-hour time frame, you can see our 1, 2, 3 formation setting up here. Lots of time for this beauty to set up. And now that it's taking off above these levels on this kind of volume, crazy. It's going to be crazy. Look what this has done in the past. Should we pay attention and have a piece of this? Even if it's at $5 and it grows up to $20, I'm in. Give it to me. This is the killer app of Bitcoin and all these cryptos, is that little guys can start off with literally nothing, earn some free Bitcoin from a referral program or what have you, start out with $5 and start working your way up. It's insane, the opportunity for us all. I love it. Yet it will take weeks, and it will take weeks, and it will take weeks. And knowing that, we can stop FOMOing in and out quickly on these trades. If you've been jumping in and out, and piling up a whole bunch of small losses, you need to study this stuff. Go grab that free training. I am off. Thank you guys so much for being here. There's a lot of great live streams out there. So leave a message in the comment down below. What is it about this stream that makes you come here to watch this one? I'm interested to know. Cheers. Enter the code MINNOW and away we can go. Hey, all I can say is that Doug has been right 90%. No, my trading system has been right 90% of the time since 2016. I have not been. Not 90% of the time. Afterwards, I go back and I look at my trading system and I go, oh, why did I override that? Anyway, I'm off. Thanks again. Cheers. Bye for now.